Hi, welcome back. This is Gina from Her Cosmic Crown, and today we are going to go over the cards and the card meanings and birth cards, every birth card that exists. So this is based on the Cards of Truth system. Ernst Wilhelm, my teacher, created this system that is based on very ancient knowledge, and it's using playing cards. So each day corresponds with a playing card, and each playing card corresponds to nature, and the way he teaches it to correspond with numerology, astrology, and tarot cards. So it's a really interesting system. If you were born between midnight and sunrise, your birth card will correspond to the card before, so not that day's card. Okay, so here is the chart of all the birth cards, and I am going to go over each one. We're constantly growing to become more of our birth card. So our birth card is the essence of who we are. We will be starting with spades. Spades is the first suit. So I'm going to go over all of the spades. The second suit in the Cards of Truth system is hearts. Then we're going to talk about all of the hearts. The third suit is the clubs. And the last suit is the diamonds. Spades are the very first suit. So the first thing they signify is the self. The self is the number one. Self is the individual. And so it represents the ego and self-awareness. Also, aces represent the beginning of something new. It honestly can be a difficult suit, right? So it has to do with strength, finding strength in oneself, overcoming challenges, right? And that's because spades represents the birth of something. The birth of something new. And if you want to think about being born into this world, it's not easy, right? Anyone who is born into this world is going to have to face some kind of challenge, some kind of burden, at least one. And so being born into this world, you've got to have the strength, you have to have courage, you have to have grit. And that is what spades represents. Also, spades represent our health, right? So how healthy we are. And so if we have a spades in a difficult position, whether or not we're casting cards or we're looking at a birth chart and a spades is in a difficult or challenging placement in the birth chart, then that can signify that a person could have health issues or be going through some health issues. Spades is a very important suit. It's the first suit, it's the primary suit, and so yeah, that is spades. We have the ace of spades. All aces correspond with the number one, and aces also spades also correspond with the number one as well. So we kind of have a double whammy here. We have an ace, which represents the self, and a spades that represents the self. So a person with the ace of spades birth card is really working on themselves. They're really working on having that self-awareness in who they are. And aces also represent something new. So a person is learning to find out new things about themselves. Now, the interesting thing with ace of spades, it is the card of the occult. So it can mean that a person may be drawn to the occult or can benefit from the occult from somehow, the occult knowledge such as tarot, numerology, astrology, those kind of things. But it also can indicate that there is something hidden within that person that they are learning, that they are on this quest to learn about. And the ace of spades represents kind of this tree that is growing, but it hasn't, you know, it's still beneath the ground, so it's growing. So there's this thing that this vulnerability with a person with the Ace of Spades birth card that they themselves are unaware of, and they are constantly learning more about themselves and having more of these aha moments. And so it is a beautiful card. It can be a very powerful card to constantly learn about yourselves. And aces is that potential that has been unrealized. So an Ace of Spades person has a lot of potential within themselves that is untapped and that they are here to realize. So it is a beautiful card, very powerful, and you can actually benefit from the occult because that can give you more self-awareness, and that can benefit everyone, but especially people with Ace of Spades birth cards. You can encounter new challenges within yourself, and as you encounter those new challenges, you realize that you have a lot of strength that you didn't know about, and so you're constantly learning about yourself in new ways, and that's such a beautiful thing. The Two of Spades corresponds to the Emperor Tarot card and to the planet, the moon, okay? So with this, anytime we have a two, a person is attracting something, or something is a resource to them. And for you, your resource, your greatest resource, if you have a Two of Spades as your birth card, is yourself. And you are constantly encountering things that bring you to yourself. And this is, it can be a challenging card in a way, because you are constantly confronting things that are challenging you, that where you have to kind of go within yourself, and if you're carrying a lot of burdens, or you're encountering difficult people, challenging relationships, it's going to make you want to go within yourself. And this card can be very reflective. You can reflect on yourself. This card can make you go within, and that is important. So if you find yourself connecting, because twos are always about connecting to something, and then the aces are about the self. So if you're constantly connecting to yourself, because the world or your environment can sometimes feel kind of cruel, if you're constantly connecting to yourself, then that is good for a Two of Spades person. So you're learning to connect to yourself and learning to have awareness of your personal strength. There's something about you that is strong, and there's something about you that has you to rely on, right? So you're learning to rely on yourself, rely on your grit, rely on your strength when things get challenging. And so connecting to yourself, retreating, going within, that is important for a Two of Spades person. And you're striving to have more health in your life, a healthier mindset, healthier well-being in general. And by connecting to yourself, going within, retreating when you need to, reflecting, that will help you with your health overall. And twos are about connecting to what you need and getting what you need when you need it. And when you have a Two of Spades, you yourself is someone you need most, right? So you can connect to yourself, you can rely on yourself, and as you do that, you get stronger and stronger as a person. Three of Spades. Three of Spades corresponds to the Strength Tarot card and to the planet Mars. Threes are about connecting to something outside of ourselves, flying away from ourselves, connecting to different situations. And with the Three of Spades, I see that as kind of a vulnerable card, because it represents kind of this tree that is growing, and it's this baby tree, and you can barely see it above ground. And that's a vulnerable position because anything can happen to something that is just growing out of the ground versus like this gigantic tree that has been there for years. Anything can happen to this baby tree. Someone can step on it, someone, you know, an animal can eat it. It's very vulnerable. So a person with the Three of Spades has a vulnerability about them, and they are learning to find their strength within themselves. They're gonna encounter a lot of challenges, maybe betrayals in their lives, and they're gonna really have to find that inner strength, allow themselves to be vulnerable, and learn that sometimes that strength, they can find that within themselves, but they can also find that outside of themselves, right? And the number 3 corresponds to the 3rd house, which is naturally ruled by Gemini when we're looking at an astrological chart. And 3s have to do with teammates. It has to do with the struggle, the fight. So a person with the 3 of Spades is going through this inner fight, this battle, and it can be vulnerable, and they're learning about their strength so much, and it can be challenging. And it's okay to lean on others for your strength, for support. There's nothing wrong with that. So 3 of Spades is just learning about what it is that makes them strong and going towards that. There's a lot of growth with the 3 of Spades because you can feel like you're constantly fighting or maybe even struggling with yourself. There can be a lot of growth within you because you're constantly kind of flying away from yourself. You're constantly battling, you know, crises and new things. And you're learning a lot of things about yourself as you encounter challenging situations, and you're learning, you know, this thing is working for me, this thing isn't working for me. So you're having a lot of different experiences with yourself that is allowing you to grow. And you go through these different things. You might say, why am I going through this and this different thing, and going through various obstacles or challenges in your life? And that's so that you can have more self-awareness, more strength, better health within yourself. And there can be crises in your life, and that is all to help you grow. 4 of Spades birth card. The 4 of Spades, this card corresponds to the Hierophant tarot card and to the planet Mercury. And 4s are about stability, finding security. If we look at the 4th house in astrology, that is naturally ruled by Cancer. And Cancer rules the home. So the number 4 can represent the home, which is represented by a square. When we learn how to draw, usually we draw a house with a square and then a triangle as a roof. So that square represents that foundation in our lives. And that usually is home. And home can mean so many different things to different people. But in general, it represents home, whatever that means to an individual. So it represents our foundation. It represents something that we're solid in. A person with the 4 of Spades birth card is learning to discover what brings them security. How are they going to feel secure within themselves? So any challenges that they face in life is just going to bring them closer to having more security within themselves, more self-awareness, and that's a beautiful thing. This card can also signify having security within one's health. So your health, you can look to improve your health, look to have stability in your health. Unlike maybe the 3 of Spades or the 5 of Spades that may have some changes or some struggles in their lives, you just want that stability, and that is super important for a 4 of Spades birth card. The planet Mercury is all about playing by the rules, and having, you know, playing the game of life fairly, and just having security. So just knowing, you know, what works for you, what maybe food works for you, what drinks work for you and your body, that can bring you security. Knowing what works for you to feel good about yourself is an awesome thing for you. Maybe getting into some kind of routine that works for you, maybe hiking, whatever it is that can make you feel good about your health is super important for a 4 of Spades person. And 4 of Spades is also about being secure in your ego, who you are as a person, your individuality. A 4 of Spades person is learning to master themselves, basically, and be secure in who they are, accept who they are in all the different ways that they are. 5 of Spades. So 5 of Spades corresponds to the Judgment Tarot card and to the planet Jupiter. So this card is very much about change. All 5s have to do with change and growth as well, because we're talking Jupiter here. Person is encountering a lot of different changes in their lives, and they can be intense changes, to be honest, because all spades have to do with intense situations. So you can be dealing with some intense situations in your life, but embrace that, because that is what your card wants for you. And that is going to help you grow into a better person. And as you encounter these changes in your life, that's going to help you change within yourself. The 5th house in astrology corresponds to Leo. So by you having these changes, your individuality can shine, and that helps you grow, and that helps you to see who you truly are as a person, and then that can help you grow. So what is important for a person with the 5 of Spades birth card is, because it's ruled by Jupiter, it's essential to kind of look at any of these difficulties that you have to deal with from a bigger, broader perspective, and just realize that, hey, there is a reason why I'm going through this. This is happening so that I can grow into a bigger, better person. This card does require a lot of looking at the big picture and not focusing on the minute details. For example, a person who loses their job, right? So if a person loses their job and they have a 5 of Spades, it's important to see the bigger picture, right? Because losing your job is a drastic change, drastic situation. So if you can look at it like, hey, the reason why I lost this job, or, you know, this relationship didn't work out, or whatever the case may be, you can look at the bigger picture and make peace with it and say, hey, that is because Jupiter is allowing for another experience for me, another situation to help me grow. So always look at the bigger picture with the 5 of Spades birth card. The 6 of Spades corresponds to the Lover's Tarot card and to the planet Venus. So all 6s represent the ultimate fulfillment that we're going to get in this world. Venus is the planet of worldly pleasures, worldly fulfillment, and it's the most fulfillment that we're going to get. But it's not the best fulfillment that we're going to get. It's not the fulfillment that we're truly looking for on a spiritual level. It doesn't get us to that ultimate bliss. And that would be more of the 7, 8s, and 9s, which I'll talk about in a bit. But 6s are the ultimate fulfillment that we're going to get. It corresponds to the Lover's Tarot card. It's the love that we get on planet Earth, the love that we can connect to another person, the love and enjoyment we can get from food. With the 6 of Spades, a person is learning to find fulfillment with themselves and be content with the amount of fulfillment they're going to have with themselves, with their self-esteem, with their confidence, with who they are. A lot of this card has to do with self-acceptance as well. and just realize that, hey, this is the most I'm gonna get in this world of feeling good about myself, feeling strong. It's a really good card. It's a nice card to have, where you have this sense of self, where you are satisfied, completely accepting of yourself. So that's what this card is about, just complete self-acceptance and happiness and joy with who you are, flaws and all, because no one's perfect. And you know, you are just fulfilled with how tall you are, with your skills, what you have to offer to this world, what you were given, what you weren't given, the cards you were dealt, and things like that. So it's just having that ultimate fulfillment and just coming to the point where you're just like, hey, I'm happy with who I am. And that is a beautiful thing. 7 of Spades. This card corresponds to the Tower Tarot card and to the planet Saturn. And the number 7 has to do with losses, limitations in life, hardships. And Saturn corresponds to pain and trauma. And we attach that to the Spades suit, which has to do with hardships, challenges, overcoming challenges. The 7 of Spades really has to do with the challenges one faces and losses. So a person with the 7 of Spades birth card may really have to endure losses, pain, lots of trauma, the limitations within themselves, just realizing, hey, there's a limit to how much I can work. There's a limit to how much I can eat or enjoy in this world, right? So there's this cap that one understands, and you really learn the limitations of what you can do in this world. And ultimately, you're learning to accept those limitations. You're learning to surrender to those limitations. And the card that comes right before the 7 of Spades is the 6 of Spades. So you're really learning to tap into what is it that, you know, you have a certain amount of fulfillment in this world. You realize that fulfillment within yourself. You're like, okay, I have happiness in who I am. I have a certain level of self-awareness, and I realize that there's only so much I'm gonna get in this world. So you've already come to that conclusion, and what you're learning to master is surrendering and just say, hey, a lot of this stuff is out of my control. There's only so much I'm going to get from the world, from myself, and there's a limitation to that. So you might find a limitation in terms of happiness in this world, that not everything in this world stays, that everything is ephemeral. So one minute you can really enjoy someone's company, and the next minute that person's no longer in your life because you moved, or because, you know, maybe you had a falling out. Whatever the case may be, that you're realizing that, hey, everything has its limits in life. So the biggest thing for you is to just kind of accept that, and to see the beauty in things that are temporary in our lives. And then by you tapping into that helps you understand that once something is no longer in your life, you enjoy those small moments. You enjoy the small moments with everything you have in your life. You learn to accept new things in your life, because 7s correspond to the number 1 as well, which has to do with new beginnings. So as old things kind of leave your life, you are encountering new things as well. So you're just experiencing a lot of things that come and go into your life, and to just appreciate each thing and the beauty of each moment and thing in your life while you have it. The 8 of Spades. The 8 of Spades correspond to the Chariot Tarot card and to Rahu, which is the north node of the moon in astrology. So a person with an 8 of Spades birth card is going to go through challenges, particularly. And the Chariot tarot card has to do with going on this journey, on this quest. And the number 8 corresponds to the 8th house in astrology, which is naturally ruled by Scorpio. And the 8th house has to do with battles. So the 8 of Spades is basically a person going out into this world, and they are going to face battles, lots of challenges, and drastic changes as well, because that is what the 8 of Spades is. So a person is learning to have the courage to fight battles in this world and go out on their chariot and just go to war, basically. 8 of Spades is known as the stuck card. So a person with the 8 of Spades can feel stuck in life a lot of times. They're just like, ugh, you know, I'm putting effort into this and I'm stuck, right? So there's this energy that can feel stuck with this person. And how to get unstuck is to first look at the card before, which is the 7 of Spades, which has to do with surrendering. So a big part of the 8 of Spades is surrendering. You're going out into the world. That's this huge battleground, that there's this unknown territory. You don't even know where you're going. You don't know what the land is like there. You don't know if there's mines or, you know, bombs or what. So you're having this courage to just kind of go out in the world. You don't know what's going to happen. And you feel stuck though, and it's the stuckness that's within you. And all 8s have to do with this mirror. It's like this mirror connotation. And really, you're looking at the world that you see is a mirror of what's going on within you. And vice versa. It's whatever's going on within you is going to be projected into this world. How you can become unstuck is just realizing that, hey, this battle that I'm seeing in this world, this war, that's what's actually going on within me. And so when you can realize that and tap into yourself and go within and make this inward shift within yourself by first surrendering and working on yourself, having more self-awareness, because aces have to do with the self, having more self-awareness, letting go, surrendering the ego, meaning surrendering self-importance, and kind of just allowing the world to unfold and kind of tell you about yourself. And that can be a difficult process because you could see things unfolding before your eyes, but that is telling you something about yourself. That's giving you information that, hey, this is exactly what I need to work on within myself. So if you see a lot of people who have ego trips and things like that with you, then that is letting you know that, hey, in what ways am I having ego trips? If you notice that people are selfish with you, ask yourself, how am I being selfish with myself? How am I being selfish with others? So everything is a reflection of you. And this is for everyone, but especially people with 8 of Spades birth cards. So it's a very deep card, and just realizing that there are no enemies, because it can be easy, especially with having an 8 of Spades birth card, to see enemies everywhere. But realizing that there are no enemies, that these things that seem evil are your friends. They're teaching you something about yourself. So instead of seeing everything as like an enemy, maybe shift the mindset and say, okay, this situation's my friend. This person is teaching me something, instead of going out there ready to fight in battle. 9 of Spades. Okay, so 9 of Spades corresponds to the Hermit Tarot card and to K2, which is the south node of the moon in astrology. The 9 of Spades is about retreating to oneself, being the hermit, just being within yourself and kind of letting go of attachments, letting go of ego attachments, like, oh, I need this, I need status, I need respect in order to get praise, or whatever the case may be. It's about letting go of self-importance, especially big time for anyone with a 9. And it's about surrendering. This is a card of surrendering big time. And a person with this card can be kind of like a hermit. They can be withdrawn because they're very introspective people. They can be very contemplative, and they might not say much, all the time, and just kind of within themselves and just being still. And so perhaps a lot of people with the Nine of Spades cards aren't necessarily going out in the world and doing maybe a whole lot. Maybe it's for them, this is the lifetime of being more contemplative, introspective, going within and analyzing themselves and just saying, hey, this is a part of me that I want to let go of. And a big part of this card, because it's attached to K2, is about letting go of the ego, letting go of self-importance. The card that comes before the Nine of Spades is the Eight of Spades, where a person realizes that the world is a mirror. It's a reflection of who they are. So if they want a friendlier experience with the world, they need a friendlier experience with themselves. Well, a Nine of Spades person has realized that, and now they are coming to terms that not only is everything a friend, but they're realizing that everything is a manifestation of God, a manifestation of the divine, of source, of the creator, whatever you want to call it. And so they know, they're learning to master that there is no separation between you and me, that we are all one, essentially. And they are learning to let go of, like I said before, ego. And instead of saying like, oh, you are X, Y, and Z, they're learning to see themselves within everything, and everything of God as well, including themselves. So it's absolute surrender. It's absolute connection to the divine. And that is what a person with the Nine of Spades is learning. And complete surrender. And they can be generous because they realize, if I give money to this person, well, they are an extension of God just like me. So it doesn't really matter if they have the money or if I have the money, if they get the job or if I get the job. It's all one, and we all have different experiences in life, and God is working through us. But they realize that there's no need to really dictate and control what happens. It's just this ultimate surrender. So you can see a lot of people with Nine of Spades just kind of more going within themselves, and that is because they are realizing this this concept that all is one. 10 of Spades. Tens correspond to the Magician tarot card and to the Ecliptic. What comprises of the number 10 is the number 1 and 0. And so when we add 1 and 0 together, we get the number 1. Big part of tens is the self, because the number 1 corresponds to the self. And aces are the first suit. So we have a double whammy here. So tens of spades is having to do with a lot of self-awareness. And this card can be difficult because a person can be juggling lots of difficulties, burdens, challenges in life. So it can be a card where a person is really finding their inner strength, finding the strength within themselves to continue on, to continue confronting challenges and burdens and difficulties and pain. And through that, a person is having more self-awareness. They're becoming stronger. And the thing with tens is when we have ace through 9, or 1 through 9, 9 is the end of a journey. It's the end of a cycle. And when we get to 10, it signifies us going on another level. So we already completed a cycle, and now with the 10, we're on a whole different level. Okay, so 10s represent a person going through a lot of challenges in life, and through those challenges, they're going to a different level of themselves, and they are encountering themselves in a new way, in a new light. They're understanding their strengths in a new way, and they keep leveling up. So when you go through these difficulties, these intense life situations, which having a 10 of Spades birth card, you most likely will encounter a lot of burdens in life. That is so that you can keep reinventing yourself, keep going to the next level. And that is a beautiful thing. Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades corresponds to the Sun Tarot card and to Uranus. All Jacks have to do with the individual self. And within each individual, we have the divine essence within us. And a person with the Jack of Spades is learning through hardships, through challenges, to kind of find their unique selves and have more self-awareness. Jack of Spades can be a lonely card. It has to do with having courage in a way, because it corresponds to orphans. You know, being in a situation where maybe you don't feel like you are always understood or accepted, or being that soldier, having that courage, having that strength to go out there and battle. And a person with the Jack of Spades is really learning to find the strength within themselves, and to find out who they are, because Jacks energize the aces, 2s, and 3s, but especially the aces. So they're really finding out who they are by having experiences where they may be alone or feel like they're alone, and that struggle that they go through, and really having to connect with themselves, because oftentimes the world feels very unaccepting to them, or, you know, very cold. So they have to kind of retreat to themselves and kind of have this courage to kind of go out there. And so a person with a Jack of Spades is really learning to find out what is unique about them, how they can find strength within themselves, and go out there and be strong and express their individuality in a unique way, in a powerful way, and have more and more self-awareness. So it's important to just realize with Jack of Spades as your birth card that you will go through challenges that make you retreat to yourself, where you feel like you're alone, but that is so that you can have more self-awareness, more awareness of your own divinity and your own uniqueness, so that you can shine in your unique way. That is very beautiful. So this is a really powerful card to have. It's a very rare card, and so it's a card about self-expression as well. So you're learning to express yourself in a way that is true and unique to you. Queen of Spades. So the Queen of Spades corresponds to the Judgment Tarot card and to Neptune. Queens energize 4s, 5s, and 6s, but especially the number 5. So the Queens are about managing changes. It's about doing long-term things. It's about doing sustainable things, and especially with themselves. So a person with the Queen of Spades can be very strong within themselves. They can have self-awareness and be able to manage changes in their lives, and sustain the changes, and just manage a lot of different things. And they can do well with changes. So they could do well in management positions where they have to be adaptable and change. And the thing about Queens, it has to do with transmutation. So I think about Queens as like the alchemist of all the cards. So you can have the ability to take something from one state and improve it and change it to another state. So since we're dealing with spades here, you have the ability to change who you are in such a dramatic way. And you can change yourself from maybe going from one state to maybe a higher state of being. You can change yourself to a higher state of consciousness as well, a higher state of self-awareness as you learn your strengths, as you confront more difficulties, more battles, more pain. You're able to combat those things in a healthier way. And you know, Queen of Spades can be very self-sufficient people, very stoic, very independent, very much like, hey, I can handle this, I can handle this, I can handle my business. And that is a great thing. Queen of Spades are very powerful and very unique. Queen of Spades are unique because they are only they only appear on January 2nd, so they only appear once a year. So when they appear, they mean business, they mean, you know, having the strength to do whatever it needs, whatever it takes to have the strength to overcome something. King of Spades corresponds to the Hermit tarot card and to Pluto. And this card is a card that all kings have to do with sacrifice. And so what a person is sacrificing with the King of Spades is their ego, is their self-importance. So a person with this is learning to surrender their ego, let go of their ego, and destroy anything that gets in their way. And the good thing about kings is that, especially Kings of Spades, is that a person can destroy any bad thing that gets in their way. So any opposition, you have a great power within you to overcome any battles, anything that gets in your way. And the big thing that you're learning with the King of Spades is self-sacrificing, sacrificing yourself for the greater good, to make the world a better place by improving yourself, by letting go of anything that gets in the way of your life and who you are. And this card is about going on an inward journey. It corresponds to the Hermit card, so a person with this can really contemplate, be alone. You can benefit from being alone and having your own dwelling where you can go within and reach this higher place that can connect you to God, essentially, or the divine, the creator. And that is what you are here to do, is just to through the challenges that you face, because this is a very challenging card, you can connect more to the divine, especially by being in your hermitage and purifying yourself and purifying your ego so that your true self can shine, so that your purified self can shine and be self-sacrificing to the world and help others. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video when we talk about the heart suit. Bye.